To understand the assassination of Robert Ouko, you have also to understand the geopolitical environment at that particular time. It also related to his death. You know, that was 1990. That is around that time that USSR crumbled. It is also the same time that Nelson Mandela was released from prison. All these things apply to his assassination. Why am I saying so? You know, before the Berlin Wall fell, before USSR crumbled, the world was divided into two. It was said that there was an iron curtain, and the West, or both sides, the East and the West, did tolerate dictatorship. They did tolerate dictatorship because they allowed, you know, if they were to be harsh on this country or that country, the country would just move to the other end. And those two spheres, the Western and the Eastern, used to use a lot of funds to finance dictatorships. Now it happened that the USSR crumbled, and when it crumbled, remember those people, coincidentally, they are not Negroes like me and you. They are Caucasians. So there is an element of ukabila there, whereby the West would have wanted to uplift the living standard of former Eastern Bloc. There are many countries, Yugoslavia, there is even Ukraine, but Ukraine is our latest edition. I'm only giving an example of such countries. So the West wanted to befriend those countries, so that should there be an event in the future where USSR will regroup again, it will be too late, that some of the countries which were closer to them are already taken over by the West. So you find that on one hand, the Western had, you know, they have limited funds. It is not an ocean of money that they could just pick and give people. The limited money that they had, of course, there were some budgets that they had dropped. For example, arms race. Arms race was stopped, and now it was the economic race. They were looking for countries which were surrounding the former USSR, or even some republics within USSR, to try and win them over. So, using money for weaponry reduced almost to a stop. And then there was the money that was being brought to dictatorships such as ours in Kenya. And then there was also this don't care attitude, because a dictatorship like that one of Kenya was hinged on the promise that they will not jump over. Now you can be told, jump over whatever you do. Then conditions started coming. Open up democratic spaces, structure adjustment programs, blah, 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 blah. And you see, you cannot teach an old dog new tricks. these dictatorships, including in Kenya, there was even a rumor that money would land at Jomo Kenyatta Airport in one plane and be taken to another plane to be shifted to funny bank accounts, personal bank accounts in the same Western countries. Now, suddenly these people are being given conditions. They are being given conditions that for you to get funds from us, have democratic space. 2, structural adjustment program. 3, Kenyans, we were brought up, and I hope other countries are the same, we were brought up feeling that you only pay taxes when you have no alternative. In some countries, even a barber or a saloonist, after clearing with your head, goes and pays the KRA of that country immediately. So we were used to, you'll find that during those days, if you completed school, employment was guaranteed. Why? Because most of the money to employ more people came from abroad. So positions were just created and people would stay there. But then we were being told that we have so many people we have employed, we have done so much in such a way that we could not, we now came up with things like golden handshake. The same Western countries now came and financed the reduction of our civil servant in the so-called golden handshake. And most of the people, after you complete school, you are psychologically prepared to work until you reach retirement age. Then suddenly you find yourself unemployed, you find yourself with several free money, and most of them misuse that money. So Moi was like a fresh like fish finding itself in a salty water sea. A fresh like fish inside a salty water sea. So he was desperate, he could do whatever, and those days he felt that for his survival, and we were now having these multi-party people are now coming up. They were coming up wanting for multi-party to come back. And he saw that the best way for him to survive peacefully was to make a visit to the American president, and be just making a visit there and coming back would really uplift him. But then the American president was busy, not with him, but the American president was busy with trying to fish the former Soviet countries, the former Eastern countries into that. He did not want to go there. His minister for Foreign Affairs, who was Robert Ouko, advised him against going to the US. Yet Moi really wanted to go there. He really pushed to go there. But you see, a person like Nicholas Biwott was hanging there on the side, telling him, you see, I told you, he doesn't have the interest of Kenya. In fact, he wants you to be so unpopular and things not to work in your way in such a way that you will lose your seat. So here was Moi begging the American president to go and visit him, and the American president said there was no need. That you can only visit me after you have done so much democratic opening. Coincidentally, And you see some things happen at the right time. Coincidentally, at that very same time, it was the time for annual prayers meeting. We in Kenya, we even came and borrowed that from America. We also, our legislature also has annual prayers day. So he asked the president of America if he could go and meet him during the prayers meeting. But the American president told him, prayers meeting is a church meeting. Have you ever had anybody being blocked from visiting a church? No. Then you're free to come. Because even for Kenyans, you'll see that even prayer meetings that we have, people from neighboring countries do come and visit. That one, you only have to notify the legislative arm of the government by telling them that you'd be visiting. So when he said that, he went to the Congress and told them he wanted to visit, and so an arrangement was made to visit there. While in the USA, during the prayer meeting, Moi again reached out for the White House and said he wanted to visit the president. Then the president said that if you want to visit me, is it something new that has come up, or is it something that you already had it in Kenya and had already told you while you were still in Kenya? He said a new item has I've just remembered from here. You know, the prayers, you greet the president before cameras, whatever, but that is not important. The important thing is to go to this White House. So he wanted to go to the White House and have a one-on-one session with the American president. The American president said, can you send your Secretary of State to come and tell me what new thing has come? That is for me to assess if it is something new and it is important. That is when Ouko went. That is when Ouko went to White House. And that one really annoyed Moi. And Biwott, being what he was, he used that opportunity to say, you see, even you, a head of state, cannot visit a head of state. They are meeting the head of state that they are grooming. That is additional to that. And then, in America, they don't recognize a vice president or a deputy president. In the diplomatic arrangements of the USA, they recognize heads of state and heads of government. Then number 3, they recognize the Minister for Foreign Affairs. So during their stay of tour, there were only 2 motorcades. Moi's motorcade and Ouko's motorcade. And you see, nowadays, for you who are 30, 40 years, you may not understand. Nowadays, you even hear governors, you're being called Your Excellency. During the Moi's time, being referred to as Your Excellency was a death certificate before you even die. And when they were abroad, people were referring, it is even today, if you look at any visiting head of state, not even the visiting head of state, visiting minister or anything, for those of you who may have noticed the CPA, Comprehensive Peace Agreement of the Sudanese and Southern Sudanese, you may have noticed that they were calling everybody Your Excellency, Your Excellency. So when they visited USA, people were referring to His Excellency Robert Ouko. And you see a person like Biwott would use that opportunity to say they have already started calling him Mutukufu. Those are the days, even we hear the head of of law society is called the president. We hear so many things, a president of this. In those days, calling yourself president of anything, that was signing your own death warrant. There was two motorcades. There was the motorcade for the Secretary of State, who was Robert Ouko, and then there was also the motorcade for the president. Of course, the president's motorcade was bigger than Ouko's, and the accommodation in hotels were done in such a way that Ouko requested to be with Biwott because of the accommodation he was given. Imagine being given a three-bedroomed house. I'm only giving an example, and you're just alone. Maybe you request that one of the ministers comes and you stay with him. And even moving from one point to another, they used to move in a limousine with outriders, and Nani Ouko was being recognized. Now, this is the problem. In Kenya, everybody, including the vice president, would bow down for Biwott. But now, in America, Biwott is a nothing, and actually people are even may have even been mistaking him to be Ouko's PA. This annoyed Ouko, but you see, it was a pretended annoyance because their differences did not come from political. Their differences came from Kisumu molasses plant and Sondu Mirio. But you see, it is just like where you are staying, somebody coming and telling you this, nani alikuwa nakusengenya, but he doesn't tell you why he is reporting that. So that is how it was that way. And as they were preparing to go back to Kenya, there was CIA were briefed. CIA cornered. Can I say it cornered? The CIA cornered Ouko and advised him that going back to Kenya was not safe for him. But you see, Ouko really trusted Moi. And then they told them, thanks for the advice, but there is no need for alarm. That is when they came. And once they landed in Kenya, that is when Ouko realized that Tigokene. My mother was not that way, but I understand lots of mothers are that way. Remember when you are young and your mother tells you calls you, come, sitakupiga. Tutaongea tu kidogo. And then when you enter the house and she blocks the house, locks the house behind her, she changes. She changes from that angelic sitakupiga, and you know the rest. When Biwott arrived at the airport, that is when he realized. Let us watch out for the next episode that starts from JKIA to Nakuru to Gotalila.